Hello there, people of the internet. My name is Udwo Jagero, and this is Dialogues with Jagero. We are continuing with our beautiful series called Conscious Uncoupling. The idea is that if you were once married and you want to go your separate ways, then there is no point of fighting, there is no point of bitterness, there is no point of, in Christians' word, disenfranchising the person that you once loved. And so we have been doing this series. We have done 4 episodes so far, and this is the 5th one, and we are going to be talking about the stigma around divorce. So, as a Christian, I was raised up and told that God hates divorce. And now we are seeing a lot of Christians who want to divorce, but they're wondering, if God hates it this much, how am I going to go about it? The other problem that we are having is that family might not accept your divorce proposal when you tell them, or even after divorcing, how do you go back and tell them that it has happened? How do you tell the children? How do you go back to church and tell the church that, look, I still love the Lord, but I don't love the man anymore? How are you, Christine?
I'm good.
How was it like for you during this time that you wanted to tell people around you that this is over, or how you dealt with the aftermath of it?
It was not easy.
Yeah.
I think for me, people got to know about my divorce a whole year after.
Wow, that's a long time.
A very long time. I actually conducted myself as a married person for a whole year.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult.
When you say conducting yourself, what does that mean?
Well, you don't tell people that
Yeah.
you're not together. So if you meet your friends and they ask you, how is he? Oh, he's fine.
He's doing all right.
He's doing all right. And you've not seen him
Yeah.
for several months.
Yeah.
I did not tell people. Actually, people came to find out about my separation and divorce through Facebook, whereby I wrote a post. And after that post, people called me and asked me, when did this happen? I didn't know this happened, you know? But at least at that time, I was in a position where I was able to talk about it. Because had you asked me, I would have just broken down and cried, you know, because it was so raw and so emotional. Immediately it happened. I would not have had the strength to keep repeating to people over and over and over that we are not together anymore because of 1, 2, 3. Because they'll always ask you why, you know. And you yourself, you also don't even know why. You know, sometimes you can't even put a finger on what went wrong. So you have to keep on rehashing the past, thinking about the past and what happened, and then speaking it out. And the more you speak about it, the longer it takes for you to heal. So there is a lot of stigma surrounding divorce. And whether you like it or not, you deal with it. And I think the most painful stigma is the stigma of losing your friends, because your circle of friends, you have things in common. And some of the things in common is that you're married. You have mutual friends. And the moment they hear you're not together anymore, automatically they feel like they need to back off from you so that you don't infect them. I don't know why they feel like it's infectious. And if it's not backing away from you, it's gossiping about you. Because I remember for me, when it sank in that I'm actually going to go through a divorce, I called my then best friend. She was my confidant. And I've put this in my book for those who are reading it. I called her because I thought she's the only person who will understand me. Yeah? And she told me, Christine, I'm a bit busy. Let me call you back. And she hung up. I'm telling you, Jagero, I sat there and waited for that call to come. It never came. And I started asking myself, did she hear what I told her? Or maybe she didn't hear. Anyway, let me give her time. She never called. 2 years later, she never called. And that's when I realized, divorce, you don't just lose your spouse. You lose a lot. You lose your spouse. You lose your friends and mutual friends. You lose the hope of what you had, because you had gotten married hoping to build this future with your spouse, your children, extended family. You lose all that and you find yourself alone. And there's so much stigma, because the moment you start breaking the news to people, they always ask you what happened. And they always ask you, they don't ask you in a nice way. They ask you, for women, we are made to feel like it's our fault, because why didn't you fight for it hard enough? Especially when it comes to church. They say that it's a woman's responsibility to build her home with her hands or bring it down with her hands. So you as the woman, why didn't you fight hard enough? Why didn't you go and beg for forgiveness? Why didn't you apologize even if you're not the one on the wrong? So I was able to categorize the various types of stigma into 4. Personal stigma. Stigma from family and friends. Stigma from the church. Family and friends can put them together. And the worst stigma is personal stigma. And personal stigma is where you keep...
The first one was?
Personal stigma.
Yes.
And then stigma from family and friends, and stigma from the church.
Yeah.
Personal stigma, you're asking yourself questions like, why did I let it fall apart? Could I have done better? You know, living in regret, living in the past, and that voice in your head is with you constantly. You know, it's not like your friends and family, you can isolate yourself for a while and get a breather, rest a bit. But the voice in your head is with you throughout. The moment there is silence, it is there and it is so loud, and you really beat yourself up about it. And I thought to myself, you know, is there anything that I could have done? And I realized I had done everything that I could do. And that realization helped me to forgive myself, because you need to forgive yourself for either getting into a relationship you had no business being in, or number 2, the role you played, because it takes 2 for a marriage to fail. It takes 2 for any relationship to fail.
Does it really?
Yes, it does. Because even if you're being abused, why did you let yourself be abused? Yeah? That is your role. Because the first time you were slapped, that should have been your red flag. Do not let it happen again. And I usually say that marriages, they don't go wrong. They start wrong. Most of the time, you will see a sign that tells you, be careful. But we convince ourselves, no, it's okay, this person will change, you know. After we get married, they will love me more. Or after we have children, they will start respecting me. Or maybe, you know, maybe, and we ignore the flags. So if you were in an abusive relationship, you played a role by allowing it to happen, by ignoring the red flags, by choosing wrong, because you had a choice. As long as your marriage was not forced or arranged, you had a choice and you chose. That is your role. Forgive yourself for that. And when you forgive yourself for that, live in the present and purpose. It's in the past, I'm not going to leave it in my mind. Because you can be here, but your mind is in the past. And it will affect your present very much so. So when you forgive yourself, you stop stigmatizing yourself, you stop shaming yourself, and when you don't have shame, you cannot be shamed. Yeah?
When you say shaming yourself, what do you mean?
It's that self-stigmatization where you think you did something wrong, and that's why the marriage failed, or you did something wrong, and that's why you got into a bad marriage in the first place, and you beat yourself up about it. Asking yourself, how could I not have seen these red flags? Why did I entertain this bad behavior, this disrespect for so long? Why did I quit my job? Because if I hadn't quit my job, I would have the financial muscle to move out. I would not be disrespected. I would not be hopeless. And you start thinking about all the things you did wrong and tell yourself, you look at yourself in a very lowly manner and shame yourself. You know, you're telling yourself, you are this, you are that, why didn't you, how could you, and all that. That is self-shame. If you don't shame yourself, nobody else can shame you. So when you've worked on yourself and forgiven yourself, now you can face the world. And I think what I did was a very good thing, keeping quiet about it for a whole year. Because that 1 year you're working on yourself. Yes, when you're working on yourself, then you have the power to step out and stand up for yourself. Because by the time people are asking you a question, you've already asked yourself
those questions.
Yes, you've already gotten clarity as to why what happened to you, or why you allowed things to happen to you. you've already done some shadow work and you've seen the source of some of these problems. For example, your upbringing. Yeah? Sometimes your upbringing makes you choose a particular person to partner up with. And your upbringing makes you feel some things are normal and okay when they are not. So you've worked on all those issues. If you need to do therapy, do it. If you need to just sit down and journal, do it. Think, meditate, get clarity. When now people come to ask you questions, you have answers. And you don't have the kind of answers that make you timid and you're feeling sorry for yourself. No, you're standing up for yourself and you're telling people, this is what happened and I did this and this is what was best for me. No shame, because you're choosing what was best for you. You know, when you're in marriage, you're kind of programmed not to choose you. Put everyone else first, put yourself last. But now you've remembered yourself, you've reclaimed who you are, and you can actually say, I choose me without shame. When someone tells you, I choose me, what are you going to shame them with? Nothing.
Talk a little bit about. I know you are going to the second one, but I wanted you to talk a little bit about two things: the shadow work, a little bit more about it, and then the therapy. And how do you start looking for a therapist, and what kind of therapies are you looking for?
All right. Shadow work is basically introspection, looking within yourself, and you have to be very honest with yourself. Don't go there with this victim mentality that this happened to me. No. Go there taking responsibility. Take responsibility for the role you played, because there's always a role you played, whether it was conscious or unconscious. And if you played a role unconsciously, then ask yourself, what's the origin of that? What's the origin of that role? Do you have a feeling within you that says, I am unworthy of love? Or I'm unworthy of being treated well? And that subconsciously makes you look for someone who does not value you. And when that person finds you, you blend very well, because this is what you are looking for subconsciously. This is what you're familiar with. You're familiar with being disrespected. You're familiar with being treated lowly, being given last position, and you give that to yourself. What is the origin?
Being given last position.
Yes. What is the origin? Is the origin how I was brought up? Maybe I was brought up in a way that I was a firstborn, I was an only girl. So I know I'm supposed to take care of all the men, my brothers and everyone. And before I take care of myself, I make sure that everyone has been taken care of. So subconsciously, I put myself last. I don't give myself what I need, even if it's as basic as rest. I don't give it to myself, because I have to labor and toil to prove my value. I am valuable in this space because of what I do for you. So I'm going to take care of all of you, and you end up taking care of your husband as well. Taking care of him to the point where you're taking care of him even subconsciously, financially, and he takes the back seat. Yeah? So you're the everything. You're the sole breadwinner. You come home, you never rest, you're all that. And you're walking on eggshells because you don't want to annoy anybody. You're just a peace lover and all that. Where did all that come from? And when you get to the point where I know I behaved in this way, and I allowed abuse to be meted upon me, I did not do it consciously, but I did it. I've taken responsibility for that. So how do I cure that? This is all the shadow work. Number one, I can get a therapist. Now, how do you start looking for a therapist? I have looked for a therapist. This is my 4th year post-divorce, and I haven't found one.
Really?
Yes, but I think I'm very good with self-therapy. I can therapize myself, if there's a word like that. But I came to find out how you can get a therapist. Either by referral, and the referral should be from people who have also gone through the same thing you've gone through. If you're battling with childhood trauma, find people who are also battling with the same, and then see several, because the connection you have with a therapist is also very important. Yes, they may be very good at that field, but you don't have a good connection. This is someone you're going to pour your heart out to. So visit several. Sometimes you may feel like, I want a man. I feel a man will understand me better. Or I want a lady. A lady will understand when I start talking about my children. I want my children. I don't want to, let them go live with their father and things. You know what you're looking for. The heart connection will let you know. Other times you don't get a therapy voluntarily, like I know I have issues and I need to discuss them. You find yourself in that position. Like, for example, if you're not able to give yourself therapy, you're not able to take your power back, you're not able to take responsibility for what has happened to you, and you live in a victim mindset, you're likely to get depressed. And when you start going into depression, this is now a mental health issue. It requires medical attention. And if there are people around you who will notice that Christine is depressed, they will help you. They will take you to see a psychiatrist. And when you see a psychiatrist and you are diagnosed, apart from medication, because medication is just taking care of the symptoms, you will be referred to a therapist. And the psychiatrist will know exactly which therapist to refer you to. Where are your issues? Are your issues predominantly coming from your childhood? Are your issues coming from an abuse you encountered at some point in your life? Are your issues coming from gender-based violence? Whatever it is, and they will refer you to the professional who you need to see. They will also tell you how frequently you need to see them, and they will review you, because you cannot be on medication forever. Yeah, as long as you're still exhibiting depressive symptoms, then you need to work on that issue that is causing you to have those symptoms, and then the medication can be slowly lifted until you don't need that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are going to the other stigmas, but I have another question before we go. What is it that post-divorce? What is it that makes most people go into depression? What is going on in your mind that makes you slip into depression?
So many things, including but not limited to the feeling of failure. You know, as human beings, we don't like to fail, because we do a lot and we use what we do to measure our value. Because the more you do, the more you acquire, the more people see value in you. And when you feel like a failure, you feel worthless, you start now going downhill. It's a spiral. It's one thing that leads to another. So there is that feeling of feeling like a failure, which comes from your inner voice, which is your personal stigma. And then other people around you asking you to keep on repeating what happened. Either they want you to repeat for the moshene, or they want you to repeat so that they can try and help you get back together. But you see, by the time you're going through this, it's not that you haven't tried, but they feel like they can do more, especially if you are couple goals for them. They don't see how this couple can separate. And so the fact that they keep on trying to bring you back together is also a problem, because these problems are very personal. They are so personal. Umati cannot help you.
Yeah.
It's you to help yourself and the other person to be willing to also help themselves, and then you can help yourself together. That's another thing that can lead to depression. Another thing is if there are children involved. If, for instance, custody has been taken away from me, I can't see my children. That will, of course, affect me. And I had a very close bond with my children. That will affect me. It starts with that sadness that develops into chronic sadness. And before you know it, it's depression. Or I have the children and I'm not giving custody to the other person because I'm annoyed at what they did to me. They betrayed me. And so I'm thinking about all the things that they did that hurt my feelings. I can't forget it. I can't forget it. And because I can't forget it, my body reacts like it's happening right now, you know? Our mind is a very powerful thing that you can think of a sad incident and your body reacts like it's happening right now, yeah? You can also think of a frightening incident and your body reacts like. And so the body just gets into flight or fight mode. And when it gets into that mode and stays in that mode for a very long time, your body is not meant to be, you're not meant to live like that. So you have stress hormones, you have cortisol, you have adrenaline, you have all that. It affects your mind. You can't get endorphins anymore. If you have no endorphins, then you can't get happy. And so you're constantly sad, and it becomes now chronic sadness, slides down to depression, Sometimes it can also become anxiety. Can become an anxiety disorder. And those are just a few of the things that can lead to depression. There are many more which I probably may not know, but I speak from what I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going back to the stigma. So you talked about personal stigma. Yeah.
All right. So when you're done with the personal stigma, you've worked on yourself and you're able now to face the world, then face the world. But how do you break the news to people? Because the other party is also going to be breaking the news to them, yeah? And you don't know what
in their own version.
In their own version. And you see, everyone has their own version. I have mine which is sanitized because I believe in conscious uncoupling and I don't believe in dragging someone's name through the mud. And I also believe that one day we will be able to be cordial and co-parent. And the best way to ensure that is just keep the slate clean, not dirtify it. But the other person may not have that in mind. They're still angry, they're still bitter, they're still upset. And so what do they say? The worst about you. And by the time someone is coming to ask you what happened, they've already had the other version. And they're not asking you so that they can help you. They're asking you so that they can hear your version. And as they listen to your version, they're also telling you, oh, he said, oh, she said. And that is very hurt. Some things can be very hurtful. And you feel as if these people are not supporting me. Why would you tell me this if you're supporting me? So my friends are now stigmatizing me. Or you want to talk to them, but they're not available. Like that phone call that I made to somebody who you think, this is the one person I can call. They don't call back and they just disappear. And you feel like they've isolated you because you're a group of girlfriends or boys. And all of a sudden you're seeing people on Instagram, they went somewhere, they never invited you. And you start asking yourself, why? Yes. You start asking yourself, why was I left out? You can't get answers. And so you just feel stigmatized, Or you...
So this is a group that you've been going to.
Yes.
It's a Naivasha thing. You guys have been going to Naivasha.
Yes.
Then suddenly they went.
They just went and they never told you. And you wonder why. Why didn't they tell me? And so you want to call and find out. Of course, even in a group of friends, you have that one who is your close friend, and you're like, this is the one I'll ask. Then you remember, oh, I even called and she didn't pick. Perhaps she's even the one who spread the word. And you just find yourself alone. You isolate yourself. Or you could be, you moved out of your husband's house and you had to downgrade your lifestyle. So now you're living somewhere where you don't want your friends to know where you live. You're still carrying yourself like a married person. So those weekends that they used to come over and you cook and you have brunch, they're not there anymore. Now you start coming up with excuses. So this is you stigmatizing yourself by isolating yourself because you're thinking, what will people say? Of course, they're saying. This saying that you're afraid of, they're saying it already. But now you have this image in your head which is maybe even 10 times worse. And they're saying, okay, Christine nowadays, even if you call her, she won't come. She's always busy. And before you know it, they stop calling you. Or you hear things, rumors out there, and, Anyway, if you're going to break the news to the general public, work on yourself first so that you know exactly how to go about it. So for me, what I did is I write a lot on Facebook. I love making Facebook posts, and I love the engagement. And before my divorce, I was writing about my kids, my marriage, my family, my work. And most of what I was writing about my work was about divorce. So people already knew me as the divorce lawyer. And then I had my book coming up at that time. And so I was writing about conscious uncoupling. So it was a bit easy for me to break the news to the public. I did it wholesale, whether it's my family or my friends or the church or whoever who get the message there. So I just wrote a post about taking a solo vacation, thinking about my life, thinking about marriage, and of course, uncoupling consciously. And those who got the message got it because I didn't write, I am divorced, I just put a story that if you're smart, you will gather. So 1, 2, 3 people got the message and they started calling me. And when they called me, of course, there was the question of, why didn't you tell us? How could you go through all that by yourself? etc., etc., etc. And now I had the answer. I could tell them, I didn't call you because I had some processing to do. I had to process what has happened. Because this is a life-changing decision. And it also takes two to get here. What was my role? And after all that, what I have done is the best thing that I could have done, both for myself and my ex, and also for our children. Because it is clear to me that by this point, I was unhappy, my ex was unhappy, and we were unhappy because of being together. So common sense is, if you have tried everything and it's not working, let us not be together. And that
reconcilable differences.
Exactly. That will lift whatever it is that was heavy upon us and making us very acrimonious toward each other, fighting each other and unhappy and all that. And so when you tell people something that is with so much finality, they really don't have much to say. You know, because if you say, oh, I don't know what happened, they will tell you what happened, what they think happened, which could not be the case. Like you've given away your power. Yeah? Or if you come out to tell them and make them listen to your story, they will take you as a victim who needs sympathy. And so they'll be, oh, I'm so sorry, let's go to this church, they'll pray for you and all that. But you come out and tell them, I don't go to church. And they'll think, no, don't be angry at God, you know. It's not about that. It's a personal decision, which was there even while I was married. So there they will not, you know, drag you to church for prayers and reconciliation. And when you take control, you're the one to lead the narrative. How does it go? And when someone comes and tells you, I had this from the other side, you're like, if it sounds believable to you, it's okay, go ahead and believe it. You don't need to defend yourself, and you don't need to make the other person look bad because they've made you look bad. And you can even go the extra mile and tell them, I don't want to hear. Yeah, the other story that you've had, I don't want to hear about it. If it sounds believable to you, believe it. Yes.
I hope that you're enjoying this program. Over the last 15 years, I have been working online for clients in America, in Europe, and all over the world. And that is why it pains me a lot when I see a lot of African brothers and sisters saying that they do not have a job. Now, this is the problem. A lot of people are trying to look for a job in 2024 in their own town, in their local area. Now, the truth is, there are no jobs in Africa, at least not so many jobs. The good news is that we have internet these days. We have a tablet, we have a computer, we have a phone, and that means that we can do a lot of jobs, and those jobs are online. That is why over the last 4 years I've been writing a book that is called Digital Goldmine. It is a book that explains to you how you can earn money online. The 18 hustles that I've chosen are basically for Africans, because what happens when you are doing online jobs is that payment is usually a problem. So these 18 side hustles that I have put together in this book, you can be paid very well and very conveniently. Okay, so the book is only 1,000 Kenya shillings. That is about $10. You can buy it in Kenya using paybill number. You can buy it online from anywhere in the world using a credit or a debit card. All the information about this book is in the description below. And if you have a brother, you have a wife, you have a husband, you have a friend who is sitting at home and watching Netflix, please do buy this book for them. If you are the one sitting at home and watching Netflix and have nothing to do, please buy this book and your life is gonna change forever. Because I have been doing this online and I've been traveling and I've been enjoying myself and having a lot of fun. So thank you very much, and now back to programming. Yeah, so we talked before this about people stopping to call you.
Yeah.
So I've heard that the ladies who are still married do not want you to go close to their husbands.
Yes.
And the men are also like, that's a poison. I don't want next to my wife, because the next thing I could be hearing is that I'm also in a divorce court.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
What is the fear, and how do you now deal with them? Because you might be having that already in your head, that a lot of people are trying to look at me in a specific way.
Yeah.
So then how do you now start, talking to your friends, visiting them in their houses, Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, I got ridiculous support that I was not expecting. Of course, there's that close group of friends of mine who I expected more from, but I didn't get. But from the wider circle, people saw me walking the walk, or is it walking the talk, that I have been talking on Facebook. And so they came to me and they said, what happened? And I told them, it doesn't matter what happened. We were just unhappy. And we figured this is the best thing to do. So you see, you're walking the talk. You're telling people don't badmouth. And so they embrace you and they offer you the support that you need. Yeah. So with those friends, it worked out. You kind of get a new circle. You get a new circle of friends. And they're okay with you. They're not afraid that you're going to steal their spouses. And their husbands are not afraid you're going to spoil their wives. Because you have something in common. The thing in common is, number one, either what you talk about, they resonate with it. And so they're not living from a point of fear. Yeah? Or they're also going through something, but they don't have the courage to do what you did.
Yeah.
And do it in a peaceful and amicable way. And you realize by the time they're doing what you did, even their partner will not be angry at them because they are already in a point of, this thing is not working, but I don't want to pull the plug. So if she can pull the plug and it will not be my fault, I can say that it happened peacefully and amicably, and she's the one who did it. And you find that it's something that was long overdue. So now you have a new circle of friends who are not ostracizing you, are not pushing you toward a certain direction, are accepting you the way you are, and are willing and ready to listen to what it is that you're introducing to them about conscious uncoupling. How do I do this practically and not carry so much resentment, not fight, not take the long route in court corridors, and also maintain my dignity and my respect. Yeah? But if I'm not to talk about myself, maybe I talk about other people who have faced that, because I've coached a few people who have faced that. I would say most of the time the initiators of divorce are women. And by the time a woman is initiating divorce, she's reached the end. Like, she's really tried everything and she's reached the end. Because most of the things that they're persevering are not things you can live with. Yeah?
When you talk about most women, are we talking about 70%, 80%?
Let's talk about 80%. Because nowadays women are financially empowered. You don't stay with a man because he's providing. It's very easy for you to come out. So what is that you're staying with this man for? It has to be something that it's not a big deal. But now, by the time you're saying, I can't stay with this man, it's a really big deal. Borderline abuse. Mostly it's abuse. And abuse is wide. There's a wide range, different type of abuse. And so when they pull the plug and they decide it's over, the man is usually caught off guard. And when he's caught off guard...
I hear they plan it for up to 3 years.
Yes. And when the man is caught off guard, he starts thinking, like, what just happened? You know? Especially when he thinks, ameenda tu atarudi. Because women do that sometimes. You go, but you'll come back. If you're told, I'm sorry, you'll come back. But now she's not coming back. What could it be? First, they suspect it's her circle of friends. I've seen her hanging out with Christine. Christine always talks about divorce. It must be Christine, you know? Or it must be another man. Because there's no way she can leave me to go and be alone. It must be another man. So they would try to, if you can see it coming, you'll try to isolate your spouse, keep her away from Christine, which is a form of stigma to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm divorced. So now you don't want your spouse to be near me. It's a form of stigma. But the good thing is that most of the people whom now I can call friends are very independent-minded. They don't select friends based on permission that they are given by their spouse. Yeah? Their spouses are also on the same page with them, you know. They are not out to control, you know. Because again, that's another form of abuse by narcissistic people. Yeah? And then when it comes to the other way around, women who are so possessive of their men, they don't want their men to be anywhere near Christine because she's divorced. These are women who've already been cheated on. Because why would I be so insecure if my husband has not given me a reason to be insecure in the first place? Yeah, he has given me a reason to be insecure in the past, and I feel I have to micromanage all his movements. These are the kind of people who will be going through their husband's phone when he's asleep to see who has he been talking with. Has he been talking with Christine? And then I'm going to start a fight. So if I get to hear about that, I will feel stigmatized. That was my friend. All of a sudden, I'm not supposed to be friends with them. Fine, if she doesn't want to be my friend, I'm not supposed to be friends with her husband anyway, because I got to know the husband through her. But why? Why does it have to be that way? So it can be very painful. You can feel very abandoned. You can feel also betrayed by your friends. But if you have worked on yourself and you are beyond needing approval from other people, beyond needing, what do you call this? What is this word? To be vindicated and to,
Yes.
you know, he did this and so he's wrong. You're beyond that. You don't want people to side with you. You're okay, whether they side with you or not. Then that stigma will not really affect you that much. And now breaking the news to your family. I have put friends and family together. For me, I had an easy time with my family because I didn't need to tell them anything. I think they saw it coming.
Yeah.
They saw it coming. And so one morning, very early in the morning,
This is which side of the family?
my side of the family, we were in a family WhatsApp group. And very early in the morning at around 5 o'clock, my brother calls me and tells me that my ex-husband, then husband, has left the family group. What's happening? And I was surprised. And so I told him, oh, we had an altercation last night and there were some words thrown around, including the D word. And he's like, okay, don't worry about it. Can I come and pick you up? I told him, no, it's okay. I'll figure things out. So, of course, he went and told my mom, my other brother, and they knew about it. So by the time I was actually leaving physically, it was expected. And I told them what happened. And eventually I got to tell my dad as well, because my dad and my mom are not together. So I had to break the news separately. And when I told my dad, he took it so well. Like he just sat us down with my brothers and told my brother, this is your sister, and I want you to take care of her. She has 2 boys. Take care of those boys. They need male figures in their life. She's ours. We are letting her come back home and we are embracing her. And I don't want questions about what happened and are we going back. And that was that. We've never spoken about it again. About his side of the family, nobody has ever talked to me. Like I left that house in 2019 December. None of them has ever spoken to me. So whatever they were told by him, of course, him being their son, their brother, they took it as that's what happened.
That's the gospel truth.
Yes, and I'm okay with that because I never had now to do any explaining because family will always try to bring you back together, especially if they are Christians. I don't know about other religions, but Christians will always try to bring you back together, not because your marriage is working, but because that is how a Christian family should be. You should forgive each other. There's nothing that you can't forgive, and God hates divorce. So we never had all those family meetings of, oh, wazee wameitwa, they've come, we sat down, oh, we've talked. None of that. We didn't do that. In fact, I don't even think our parents ever spoke again after that. We just did it the legal way. As long as you're divorced legally, mambos are dowry and all that, and we have never
So
done
difficult,
that.
so because sometimes with there are so many on the other side of in-laws. It could be many, sometimes more than 5, sometimes 10, and suddenly it's just like a severed bridge, nothing
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, the thing is when you get married, you're not just coming together with one person, you're bringing 2 families together. And so this family becomes, you're answerable to them also. And friendships are created, even if they were created because of the 2 of you. You can find my brother being a friend of my brother-in-law. And now they have to, that friendship has to break because now us who brought them together are not together anymore. But to be honest, I don't think those friendships have to break. I don't think. I would be very okay if my own brother told me he's still friends with my ex-husband. Because you see, that relationship is different from mine. Just because I fell out with my ex, I don't need to go telling everyone in my family, don't talk to these people. I don't want to ever hear that you are seen anywhere together with them. No. I would not want to dictate how the dynamics of their friendship unfold. Let them do their thing. What I would not like is for them to take sides. I would not like to hear my brother telling my ex, by the way, my sister is not good. I don't even know how you persevered for that long. I wouldn't like that, yeah? But if it's just friendship and you're talking about your own boys' things, and maybe you're even taking my kids out with their dad, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it about family. I never had to, get involved with the other
church
side. Now, good thing about church is I was not a churchgoer from even when I was still married. And if there was any stigma to face, I think I faced it while I was still in my marriage. I faced it when I was leaving the church. Because, of course, I was asked a lot of questions. Why are you leaving? Are you joining another church? No, I'm not. Are you becoming a devil worshipper? No, I'm not, So why are you leaving?
They asked if you're becoming a devil worshipper.
Yeah, they did. So why are you leaving? And I had to give explanations which are not satisfactory. They were not satisfactory to them. And the answers I was being given to the questions I had were not satisfactory to me either. So when I stopped going for marriage enrichment group, of course, rumors started, there are problems in their marriage. So I don't even think people were surprised when we separated. So nobody came to ask me anything. And the marriage enrichment group was the connection that I had to the church. So by the time we were going through the separation...
They call it marriage enrichment group.
Yes.
What a beautiful word.
My church had those groups.
Yeah.
Such that people who got married in that church around the same time, we did premarital counseling together as a group. And then the premarital counseling could not continue, so we were put in small groups. So these small groups are your accountability partners. You're supposed to meet every month, talk about your marriage, if there are challenges you're going through. Perhaps if you share, people will help you.
You guys talk about them, though.
We didn't. Me, I personally did not. Like, I could attend the marriage enrichment groups, and we had problems, but I never talked about them.
Why?
Let's just say I felt judged already.
Oh, you felt judged already?
I felt judged because when you look at other people, their marriages seem so perfect, and you seem like you're the only one who has a problem. But that's not the case. It's just that we don't talk about these problems.
Yeah, we don't.
As because...
We can put a very good front.
We can put a very good front. Even when we've been fighting the whole night, we will go to church on Sunday together in the same car, sit next to each other, sing praise and worship, and leave, and then go back and continue fighting at home. We are not
But
taking...
you see, that's what I am asking.
Yeah.
Why... Which accountability then was it? Because
we didn't
you
use
guys
that
are not
group.
revealing anything that is going on behind the curtains.
That's the thing.
Nobody's revealing them. So what?
Yeah.
So then, and sometimes that's what I find very interesting with church. There is a lady that I spoke with that told me that they were having such a very bad time with the husband. In fact, the night before the Sunday, the wife, the husband almost killed her at night, choked her against the wall, mpaka kaanguka kwa sakafu, and she slept on the floor until morning. They woke up. When she woke up, the man had already made breakfast and put the children on the table, and they took breakfast and they went to church. And then when she was in church, she told one of the elders, a lady, that this is what happened to me. Yeah. And what that lady told her is that, look at how you guys are looking right. You're looking so okay. What's your problem?
Yeah.
And told her the same thing that you told me, that you're the one to prop that marriage. You're the one to prop that house. You're the one to die for it.
Yeah, that's the thing about church. I don't know if the mistake is with us as individuals or the church, because we don't use the church the way we're supposed to use it. Because when we have problems, we are supposed to go and seek support from the church. but we don't. And I think the reason why we don't is because we don't get the support we were hoping to get, you see. Because like if you, like that woman you've talked about, if she was battered, you'd probably be asked, what is it you did to provoke him?
Yes.
Into beating you up, yeah? I don't see men having these kind of talks, but women, we are always having these women church groups where we are told, submit, don't talk back, you know, act a fool so that your marriage can succeed. You know, you don't have to go out without your husband's permission. That's how you're going to make your marriage stand. But if it doesn't resonate with you, I mean, how do you now go to the same person and tell them, I was beaten up because I came home at a certain time, and expect her to support you? She will not.
And I also feel like the church should also have a little bit of, qualified counselors. Because I don't think just knowing the Bible alone and quoting the Bible is enough for you to take care of somebody who is undergoing a particular issue.
No.
Because if somebody, you need somebody to do proper therapy for this person.
Yeah.
And I feel like, for example, my church, which is a very, very big church and is able to afford a lot of stuff, they should have people on call that can actually do what mambo ya Bible. It's a good thing, but I think you can also leave it a little bit and talk about those issues and bring somebody who is specialized in taking care of somebody. Because if you're just going to tell somebody that a foolish woman will destroy her house, how is that statement going to help them?
You know, you're just making them feel foolish and blame themselves, you know. So you don't want to be told that. And you know that's what you'll be told. So what do? You pretend that you're okay. And when you've reached the end and now you can't take it anymore, you want to divorce, you know you'll be told God hates divorce. So what do? You secretly change church, go to a different church where nobody knows you are ever married, and you just fix yourself there. Or you quit church altogether, you know, or you even change religion, go and become a Buddhist or something. So for me, I didn't get that direct stigma from church because I had already gotten myself out of that space, and nobody had a right to come and tell me, pastor is annoyed with you because of 1, 2, 3. He doesn't have that authority over me anymore. But I'm not saying that everybody who wants to go through divorce should do what I did. No, that is a personal conviction. That is faith is, you work your faith out by fear and trembling. That's what the Bible says. It's not literal, but it means things of your faith. It's up to you. So if you're in church and maybe fearing that stigma from church, you may have to navigate that differently from how I navigated it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well understood. It was a beautiful one, stigma. You know, it affects people in divorce and even before divorce, right?
Yes.
Right. So in the next episode, we're talking about children of divorce, right?
Yes.
So people of the internet, I hope that you loved this episode. Please, if you have not subscribed, please take your time to subscribe, leave a comment. Christine is selling a book called Conscious Uncoupling. You can buy it at Nuria Bookshop. We will leave the link in the description below. Please hit on that notification bell. And she's also a divorce coach. Is it a divorce coach or just coach?
Divorce coach.
Divorce coach.
Yeah.
You know, she can take you through the problems or the concerns that you're having. All right. So until another episode, bye for now.